All right, let me ask you a question. How many of you heard the voice of God this morning? That is, maybe in your communion, God spoke to you this morning. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't lie to us. You will not profit anything lying. Are you with me? Because a time will come where you will need to depend on your ability to hear God. And in that day, that's the day we will know if you really hear him or not. So don't lie. If I notice that there are people that don't know how to secure the word of the Lord, I will teach you how to do it. So you don't need to lie. Because if you don't know what it means to invest in intimacy, you are at the risk of not maintaining the relationship that holds the key to your actualization. I also told you that you need to exercise your spirit to be able to contact God, because only your spirit can contact God. The Bible says God is spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. It's your spirit that can contact him. You exercise your spirit, a time will come, a day will come, the appointed day, he will open up himself. And when he does that, he will give you the discernment to be able to capture what is on his mind. I told you that you cannot know God except God wants to reveal himself. So you can exercise your spirit and is not willing to reveal himself that day. Don't be discouraged. Continue. That is the source of wisdom. When you have access to the mind of God concerning a matter. The more you press, the more you discern his mind, the more you know his ways, the more it's easier for you to inquire of him, to receive his words, to receive counsel from him, and all of those interactions will order your walk with him. I am telling you exactly what I have done. I was in the oil industry. I had worked for 16 years and grown in the ranks, and had arrived at the point where I need to write an examination and become a management staff in the field of my endeavor. I was good at the job, very good at the job. For those exams that we write, pass mark is 70 over 100. That's credit. If you get 70 over 100, you have credit. If you get 80 over 100, that is good. You get 90 over 100, that's very good. You get 100 over 100, that's excellent. So pass mark begins from 70. Now I knew that if I sit for that exam, I'll pass it, because all the other exams we've written, the least I scored was 74. And when I scored 74, the second person scored 48. So I was confident of the fact that if I sit for the exam, I'll pass. And I was looking forward to the exam. 2 weeks to the exam, then Jesus now comes to me and says, it's time for me to resign from my job. But you see, in God's eyes, he believes that the moment you can trust him, the moment you can have faith in him, then you are ready for destiny. As long as you cannot trust God, as long as you cannot have faith in God, you are not ready for destiny. Imagine, are you with me? Oh, you are not following me. My last salary in the oil industry was 1.2 million every month. And the moment God spoke to me, I struggled with it for a while, but what God wanted was to put me in a situation where I will still need to exercise my faith. When you exercise, meanwhile, just for your information, I've been full-time now for 3 years, and the conditions of service that God has given me supersedes what I would have gotten as a manager. It supersedes it like 3 times. Don't clap, just listen. I will never have been able to arrive at that point except by faith. So I need to teach you what faith is and how to walk by faith, because that's what the mother eagle wants to achieve with the eaglets. Your flight with God is not possible until you can exercise your faith and trust in God. If I had written that exam and I had become a manager, I would have been earning 1.8 million every month. That's the desire of every person. And that's not all. The government will take care of your children's health. There are so many benefits. They'll pay your house rent every year. Are you with me? As at the time I retired, my house rent money that I get every January was 17 million. I'm not making up the figures. I'm just telling you what it. Oh, you don't trust me? I'm not making the figures up. My house rent yearly at that time was 17 million. If I had written that exam and become a manager, it would be 21 million every year in January. People will kill to become manager because of the luxuries, the enjoyments. If for the purpose of your duty you stay away from your home for one night, is $350 for one night. And are you there? That's inclusive of when they send you for trainings. So you go for trainings for 2 weeks. Calculate that. You can lay a foundation of a house when you come back, when you get back. And for those of us that knew the job so well, they can send you and it's counting like meter. So imagine, are you following me? Imagine what it meant when Jesus came to me and said, it's time for you to resign. Now if you don't have capacity to believe him, you will think he's wicked and you will never. I was becoming comfortable. I was in the nest. I was looking at how it will be when I sit behind the big table. Then Jesus will come and disrupt the nest. I think I need to give you a background story so that you can understand what I'm talking about. All right. In 2009, my relatives were in power in Abuja. They were in government. So my elder sister's husband saw me one day. Because of fasting, I was very lean, and he felt that I needed to eat and gain weight. Meanwhile I was at work. So but because they were in government, they facilitated, they spoke to the office, got me released and sent me to one country to go and eat for 14 days and put on weight before I come back. So when I went to that country, I arrived the country by 2 a.m. in the morning, so hungry. Went to the restaurant, the hotel that I was to stay. The food they had, when they brought it, I couldn't eat it. So I went back to my room. That was where Jesus appeared to me. And the first time in my life, for the first time in my life, Jesus came to my room. And that was where Jesus commissioned me to preach to the youth of Nigeria, 2009, right? From that time till the time I resigned, I went around Nigeria 6 times. Went to almost all the campuses in this country because Jesus sent me. So when you hear people call me apostle, my own is not fake. A true apostle, no, sir. Wait. Every true apostle must be sent by Jesus. Jesus will come to you and send you to go and do something. Every true one. And he will back you up with the kind of signs and wonders that will prove that Jesus himself sent. So Jesus encountered me. This is what he told me. He said, the youth, use the power, your power of sight to deliver them from distraction, and I will open the gates of nations to you. That's what Jesus told. So guess what? They sent me there to fast, to eat, but I fasted throughout and came back leaner than I was before I went on the trip. But you see, I'd received direction. He said I should focus on the use. That's how I started moving from campus to campus. ABU, University of Ibadan, University of Ilorin. I went round Sokoto, Kirby. I did those rounds. I did them till from 2009 to 2019, and I didn't know it was 10 years. I was in Uyo about to preach. They got me from the airport, put me into the hotel, and as I locked the door and knelt down, Jesus came again 10 years later. 19th of August 2019, making it 10 years. He now told me, I have come to set you free, so that where I am, there also will my servant be. That's a riddle, that's a parable. It doesn't have meaning until he comes to interpret it. Don't claim you understand some things you hear God. If it's not straight, if it's not direct, You don't know what he's saying. I called my wife. I said, am I in bondage? She said, you are in bondage. That the job you are doing is bondage. I said, which is it not this job that we have, this powerful job that we are doing that is helping us? Are you there? Now, unconsciously to me, I had now considered that job as an inevitable aspect of my life, that if the job is no longer there, I will not be able to survive. Do you understand that? But that happened unconsciously. So I began to pray and to ask God to interpret the poem that he gave me. I have come to set you free, so that where I am, there also will my servant. It took me, it was the next year that he came to interpret it. I went to a hotel, paid, did 3 days dry, came out, he didn't say anything. When I entered my car to move, he now came into the car and said, when will your passport expire? I said, my passport will expire on the 28th of September 2020. He said, okay, your job expires that day. So that's, do you understand that? That's how I knew what he meant by that parable. So I lodged in my resignation on the 5th of October. He said the job expires when? 28th of September. So I lodged resignation when? 5th of October. He said the reason why you need to resign is because you were faithful going to the campuses to preach to the youth. I sent you to the youth, you went there, and I told you that if you are faithful, I will open the gates of what? Nations to you. So you cannot go to the nations and remain on that job. So resign. So I resigned. You already know where you are going before you set out to come into your car. Is that not so? Huh? Do you just enter the car and just start driving? You have a destination in place. So what I'm saying is that you can never know your destination except you have guidance. The Bible says, as an eagle stirred up her nest. The nest of an eagle is as comfortable as the bed you slept on yesterday night. So you see, when the eagle wants to lay eggs, it goes out and makes a very comfortable nest on the top of the mountains, beyond the reach of other birds, reptiles, and danger. Goes so high, then makes that nest and then lays the egg. When the egg hatches, the nest is so comfortable that the eaglet does not want to fly. He wants to remain there so that the eagle will be going to get food and to feed them. But the moment the eaglet gets to flight age, the mother eagle goes and rips off the nest. You will need to exercise your faith, and I need to teach us what it entails when we say someone is exercising faith. So it brings some disruptions. The eaglets begin to drop from the nest. Most of them will refuse to spread out the wings. So just before they hit the ground, the eagle will pick them up and take them back. Tomorrow again, when they are getting comfortable with the nest, it will come and destroy it. Some of them will begin to free fall until the day in which they realize that they have wings, and then they are moved, they are challenged to spread them out. Then they will discover that there is a compatibility between their wing and the wind. The day they discover that, they will not go back to the nest again. So the point that God is trying to teach us, for which he makes reference to the eagle, is the point of exercising your spirit enough to walk by faith. That's the description of what God is doing. I hope you know the story that we are telling is the story between God and Israel. It is a story between God and you. That when you gave your life to Christ, you came into the comfort of the love of God. And in order for you to grow, one of the things that God will do is to deliberately create discomfort for you. The reason why the eagle is scattering the nest that it took so much time to meticulously build is because if he leaves the nest in that condition, the eaglets will never fly. It is in that disruptive initiative that he begins to push them into the possible use of their wings. If not, they will never use their wings. Just like you now, you are not likely to use your faith if everything is okay. And meanwhile, your faith are the wings with which you will fly into the high places of destiny. But the average believer will rather be a preacher of faith than to live by faith. And God is aware that you don't want to live by faith. So what he will do is that he will create some disruption around your life. So when he tears out the nest, some of the eaglets will fall off. And where they are is so high, so there's enough time for them to free fall. As they are free falling, many of them will still be afraid to release their wings because they are not sure of the wind. Just like when you are born again and you begin to walk with God, when circumstances and situations show up, you are not likely to want to exercise your faith because you believe that there is a risk attached to it. The thing about the eagle is that the eagle will train the eaglets to fly. Flight does not come to the eaglets naturally. It comes through training. If you lack the capacity to exercise faith, to believe God, you don't have what it takes to prosecute destiny. Especially in these days where the economy is failing and poverty is becoming the description of our landscape, you will need robust faith to be able to fly from beneath the weight of the orchestrations of Satan and evil men, to fly into the glorious place of your destiny.